Hey guys. Today, I am going to be testing out the melee towers in STTD. We are going to be looking at their stats. First, let's start with the Speak Ermine. The Speak Ermine is an extremely cheap melee tower that you can literally buy when you first start the game. It's 10 cash. The Speak Ermine has 4 range, 1 damage, and 0.25 cooldown. With only 4 DPS and its range being awful, it's not worth it to spam them down. At the max level, it has 5.5 range, 5 damage, and 0.1 cooldown. With its 50 DPS, it's actually not too bad for being 10 cash in the shop. It's good if you're a starter, but please don't bring this to the camera base. Alright, now let's talk about the Big Speak Ermine. The Big Speak Ermine is a reliable melee tower that costs 1,500 cash. The Big Speak Ermine has 6 range, 14 damage, and 1.2 cooldown. Its starting DPS isn't the best, but it costs 600 cash in game to place, which is nice. At the max level, it has 7 range, 70 damage, and 0.5 cooldown. 140 DPS is quite nice, and it's also quite cheap to max as well. Big Speak Ermine is a respectable melee tower. Next, let's talk about the Knife Speak Ermine. The Knife Speak Ermine is a great early game choice that costs 2,750 cash in the shop. The Knife Speak Ermine has 5 range, 6 range, and 0.5 cooldown. 12 DPS for 325 in-game cash isn't too bad. At the max level, it has 6 range, 22 damage, 0.2 cooldown. 110 DPS is pretty nice, and in addition, it's not that expensive to max it out. Some people believe that a Knife Speak Ermine is better than a shotgun cameraman, and some don't. What do you think? Anyway, let's talk about the Plunger Cameraman. The Plunger Cameraman is an interesting pick that costs 4,000 cash in the shop. The Plunger Cameraman has 6 range, 18 damage, and 0.5 cooldown. The Plunger Cameraman is a bit pricey, but it has a pretty nice 36 DPS. At the max level, it has 7 range, 90 damage, and 0.3 cooldown. 300 DPS is absolutely crazy for only 4,000 cash in the shop. This tower is underrated, it really needs to be used more. Finally, let's talk about the Chainsaw Cameraman. The Chainsaw Cameraman is an extremely powerful melee tower that costs 1,333 cash in the shop, as well as beating /66 Waves of Hell mode. The Chainsaw Cameraman has 6 range, 30 damage, and 0.95 cooldown. Just like the Plunger Cameraman, it is a bit pricey, but its 31 DPS isn't actually as good as Plunger Cameraman. At the max level, it has 7 range, 150 damage, and 0.25 cooldown. 600 DPS is really good for a melee tower. It's 2 times better than the Plunger Cameraman, but it is much more expensive. Alright, let's go to the review. So in conclusion, if you haven't beaten mutation mode, either use Big Speak Ermine or Plunger Cameraman. If you are a starter, use Speak Ermine. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.